Sean. I'm from New York. I represent the New York scene, Next Level and all that. I go by Shine.
How did you get your gamer tag?
The name Shine, I don't know. I think back when I used to play Gears, it was one of those things where it was like the trend where like you just pick a random name and you kind of dress it up with like O's and I's. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it's like you just kind of, it was like O Shine, but like some words were capitalized. The
Right.
two, and I had two eyes in there. So the name wasn't like given to me. It was
Right,
just
right,
something that was like chosen out of random.
right. And then you clean once you got the Street Fighter 5, you took out the extra eyes and all that stuff, right?
I
You
mean,
got
I
down
took
to
that
Shine.
out beforehand.
Oh,
I
you
took that out
did.
in Street Fighter 4, yeah.
Yeah, it is. So of course you're playing Prophet and Brian F. So the first question is, how do you feel about the players? So not the characters yet. I want to know how you feel about the players, Prophet and Brian F.
Oh, I think they're like two players that are kind of like cut from like the same cloth, kind of like they're both like they're not like the super like feel heavy type of players. They're more like these are the things I should do. These are the options that I should do, and I'm gonna keep doing like these options. Like they're both very smart players, and they really stick by like kind of like a relatively low risk, very textbook type of play style. Even surprisingly, Prophet plays a character like Urien, and Urien players like to go full on gorilla.
Right.
But Prophet is the exception to that. He doesn't really go gorilla. He kind of plays patient. He has a style that's unique to Urien. So and Brian F also has a very like kind of like I would say more passive play style with Balrog as well. Very textbook. Like he knows all his frame data, all his setups. Like he is the textbook Balrog for sure. He's the most technical. He knows all his setups
Right.
and all that. He plays very very by the book. So they're both kind of similar in that regard.
Okay. Okay. Next question is, how do you feel against their characters? So you got Urien, you talked about him a little bit, and you got Balrog.
Oh, I mean, bro, you already know my history. I mean, listen, bro. Me and Urien, I think I've been tossed around by every Urien at NOBC so far. Like, I'll do well against them, but Urien's one of them characters where like I'm never really too confident against Urien per se. You can't be, because I feel like everything can go wrong so easily. So Urien, like I know how to fight Urien, and you know, I'm confident to an extent with Urien. I'm confident, but in the back of my head, I know things can go wrong if I really mess up, or even if I don't mess up, I just block something, things can go wrong. But I think Balrog, I'm okay with. I like fighting Balrog. I think it's a little bit harder this season, as per like Ibuki versus Balrog, but I think Ibuki still wins versus Balrog. I've always been kind of comfortable fighting against Balrog for the most part. I've played Smug more than my fair share of times, even though
Right.
nowadays I think I end up playing Brian more,
Mhm.
but I'm still pretty comfortable against Balrog. I would much rather 100 times over play Balrog over Urien.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's an easy
So
one. All right. Next question is, what's the track record between you two? I know you talked a little bit about it, but tell me more about the track record between you playing Prophet and Brian F.
I would say me against Prophet. I feel like I haven't run into Prophet too much
Mm-hmm.
until like extreme, like very lately. I think it's been back and forth. Uh, Brian, in Brian's case though, I think I have uh the edge when it comes to wins. Well, I mean, I don't think I pretty much know that. More of a I definitely have more wins over Brian. Like the head-to-head record between us is definitely in my favor.
Right.
Prophet, I haven't played it Prophet in tournament nearly as much as Brian. but so between us though is definitely back and forth, I would say right now.
It's not like it's gonna be a short King of the Grid, then, goddamn. Okay, quick work. Okay, how do you feel about how Street Fighter Five? I mean, how Capcom adjusted to COVID-19?
I think I think is cool that how they adjusted to it. The circumstances that were given, and we didn't have. There's not too much to work with right now, and they were the first. I would say they were the first developer within the fighting game community that came out with support towards a tour online exclusively. So I think that is like a huge, like, that was really setting the stage for a lot of developers. So I think it's really fortunate that we all have something to practice towards. I have my gripes with the execution of it. I don't like certain things that they did. Obviously, the way they run it, the grid is free. The grid, that's a huge problem I have. The grid not being free, a lot of the matches just missing a lot of their organization towards dealing with circumstances between like lag and some of their rule enforcement, all the stuff that we run into, all the issues that we run into that I feel like could have been avoided if there was better and proper planning towards it. But it's a step in the right direction. I hope that they can actually take a lot of the feedback that we have towards this. I hope that they do take a lot of feedback and apply it to future online events that they hold, because they are planning to support this game for a while now, as we kind of found out. So
yeah, we're gonna talk about that too.
Yeah.
they really dodged the bullet with this Olympic stuff. I think
Yeah,
that was gonna be a disaster. I think.
Yeah, I'm glad that this is like the test drive for it, because it would have been really bad,
Right.
actually.
Right. All right. Next question is, how do you feel about the surplus of online tournaments?
So here's the thing. I don't like that it came at the sacrifice of offline events, but I like the fact that there are a lot of online events, because I think the online events has kind of helped bring together a lot of like the community in a way. In a weird way, I feel like the separations kind of brought a lot of people together. Like, I think a lot of players are actually getting better because they have a weekly event. Like, New York isn't exclusive to having a weekly event with high level competition. Like, now it's the whole East Coast that's like into it, and then we're all like live streaming our matches and sharing that with our respective like communities that are within our streams. So I think that's actually a pretty cool thing. That's a pretty cool silver lining that's come out of the whole COVID thing.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. All right, so next question is, how do you feel about how Capcom handled the Pro Tour this year?
Yeah, so going into specifically how they handled it, there's a lot of things that I wish were different. I wish there were more slots for certain regions. Like, I think Japan should have more slots, because there's just a high density of players in that population. High level players within that region. Like, I feel like it's kind of rough to it's getting out of focus. It's kind of rough to have that region share with Korea and Hong Kong. Like, the playing conditions aren't even good between those regions. Like, I've played from Korea to Hong Kong before. I ran to people, and is not playable. I would hope that they actually, like, I don't like how they separated some regions. Like, I think the main one was the Middle East and Europe East, I think.
I remember that one.
Yeah, like, their connections are borderline unplayable as well. Actually, it's not even borderline unplayable. It's actually just unplayable. Phenom made it look playable because somehow he was confirming in that connection. But For the most part, it was pretty unplayable. Like Latin America had some issues with that. Like Doomsnake, I forget, is Doomsnake in Panama? Doomsnake is in Panama, and he was playing against Kusanagi from Mexico, and he posted online what the match looked like on Twitter. I was like, bruh, like that's yeah, like the competitive integrity. Like you can't. The net code is bad, and that's a whole another issue that I would hope Capcom would address. But if we can't make the net code playable from that far, then at least limit the regions in a space in a closed enough close enough space where it is actually playable. Like I hope a lot of I kind of wish a lot of these things were addressed better and it was talked about, but it seemed like a very spur of the moment thing. Like, all right, well, we need, there's no tournaments this year, so we need something quick,
right.
Quick to pump out. And I don't think too much thought was put into the actual logistics of making this work, and in a way that kind of upholds the competitive integrity of everything. So, I wish that they actually kind of reached out to the community and some of the organizers and players to see and reach a middle ground on how we can all make this work to the best that it possibly could.
Yeah, that's a great answer, man. On the summer update, they released some time frames for Street Fighter V, and you can see that Street Fighter V was going out to 2021, possibly 2022. So I want to know how long is too long for Street Fighter V?
I think as long as they support it and keep certain things fresh, I think it's okay to prolong the life of the game. I would much rather them prolong the life of this game, because I think the game is in a pretty good spot right now in balance, in content. I think that they've added a lot over the years where I could actually recommend to somebody, yo, you should probably buy this game. It's pretty good. The input lag was worse when it first came out, so I think that it's not a bad deal if it keeps going on. I just would hope that they take all the time they need to make sure Street Fighter 6 comes out in a much better state than Street Fighter 5 did. And I think continuously supporting this game isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think we had a lot of time with Street Fighter 4. I think Street Fighter 4 went on 7 years. 7 years. So I think with the timeline, I think we're probably on course to go about 7 years with Street Fighter 5, and then probably they'll come out with Street Fighter 6. And I think at that time, we'll probably hopefully figure out if it's coming on PS5, and hopefully people have the means to. We'll all have a PS5. We won't be paying chunks of money at the time. Hopefully it would have gone down in price or something by that time that Street Fighter 6 comes out. But me personally, I know a lot of people don't hate. A lot of people don't like Street Fighter 5 at all, which is cool. I personally don't mind. I kind of like the game, so I don't mind sticking around and playing it out and giving it a little bit more time to be fully fleshed out. And they're adding more battle mechanics. From what I saw, I think it's okay if they're changing up how the game is played to keep it fresh. They're changing that's something that specifically caught my eye, as a change in battle mechanics. I don't know what exactly that means, for better or worse.
What kind of battle mechanic would you like to see?
What kind of battle mechanic? I would like to see. I feel like I already got the V skills, but I would like to see probably like a change in V reversals. Or maybe I would say not. And when I say a change in V reversal, I mean like maybe like a second V reversal, or not a CA, because I feel like Street Fighter 4 CAs are a bit different than Street Fighter. Street Fighter 5. Yeah, Street Fighter 4's ultras are a bit different than Street Fighter 5 CA. So I probably wouldn't want to see another
CA. I don't know what mechanic, to be honest, that they could add that wouldn't change up the entire game. I know people want chip kills really bad. I feel like I would have to see some changes to the engine before I would allow chip kills,
Right.
or before I'd be okay with chip kills. But
Yeah, I think some kind of defensive mechanic would be good for the game, like to stop. What can I do about a Urien comeback? You know what I'm saying? Like, give me some more defense that I can do or something. But something around the V reversal, I think that's a good idea. But let's see what they come out with.
Yeah, probably like you know, for battle mechanics, I don't know what I would want, but there are certain changes specifically that I would want. In that regard, I probably want I would want certain things to be block on, like negative on activation, like activate V trigger, and then you're putting in guess for game. My character, my V trigger on block is now punishable, so I want everybody to feel my pain. You know what I'm saying? Like I can spend meter and make it plus, but I'd rather everybody else deal with the same thing I gotta deal with now. I want you all to space your V triggers properly, use it properly.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Were you excited about any of the new characters that they announced?
Yeah, I was excited for Rose. Actually, people were asking me which characters I would like to see, and I think because I already know my characters won't make it in Gouken or Yang. Like, I know that for a fact they weren't gonna make it. So people asked me what characters would I like to see, and Sea Viper and Rose were two of my picks. So I am happy to see Rose, but now that
What about Rose did you like?
Rose, I kind of like I used to mess around with her. Like, my Rose wasn't very good in Street Fighter 4, but I used to mess around with her a little bit, and I kind of like the character. Like, I like her style a lot. She's very fun. When I used to play her, Soul Satellite, it was pretty fun to use, I must say. So she was kind of like a spacing heavy character. Like, she made you feel really helpless, and she just really annoyed you. I like playing really, really annoying characters. The way my characters now annoy you is in a bit different style than what Rose does. Rose like pokes and harasses you and runs away at you. So I was interested in trying her. I messed around with her in Street Fighter 4 just a little bit. She wasn't one of my main characters and nothing. I never used her in tournaments, but she was kind of fun to mess around with. I hope she still has she still has that close stand medium kick, because I used to abuse that.
Okay. So what do you think the final count would be?
I think the final count, when it all comes down to it, I think that I will end with 15. I think Brian will land somewhere around. I would say Brian would land somewhere around 7 games. 7 of those games probably being on Prophet alone, and I would say Prophet probably get like. I'd say Prophet get like 5, but 5 of them games would probably be on me. On me guessing wrong of some sort.
Right.
In the wrong EX shoulder tackle that I should have blocked, and then that's it.
Right. Any words for your competitors?
Oh, any words? Man, no words. Just mix all day, bro. Hope you guess right. Listen, when I activate that V trigger into the corner, just let Jesus take the wheel. Close your eyes and pick a direction, and wiggle the stick too, because you might have to guess more than once.
There it is. Anything else you want to shout out, man? This the last question.
Oh yeah, man. Shout out to Endemic for holding me down. They definitely used to send me to a lot of events. I mean, not people, we're not really going anywhere. So these days, but they still definitely support me and all that. So definitely a huge shout outs to Endemic for holding it down for, I think, for about almost like 2 years now.
Yeah.
2 years now. All the streaming I've been doing within like the quarantine and whatnot too. This is all equipment that they definitely gave me to set up and stream. So, I definitely wouldn't be able to do that without them. So definitely shout outs to Endemic for all that as well.